The rain hit the windshield hard, and Emily Carter gripped the steering wheel as if the road itself might slip away. Her husband's birthday was coming, and she felt the weight of it pressing on her chest. 42, a number that sounded ordinary but felt dangerous. Like a quiet line people crossed without noticing. Mark hadn't talked about it. He hadn't talked much about anything lately at the red light. Emily stayed still even when the signal changed. Cars behind her honked, but she barely heard them. All she could see was Mark's face from the night before, tired eyes. A polite smile, a man trying to be okay for everyone else. Something inside her decided then and there. This birthday would not be another quiet dinner, another forced laugh, another year slipping by unnoticed. That night, while Mark slept beside her, breathing slow and even, Emily lay awake scrolling through her phone. She passed photos of fancy gifts and loud parties. None of it felt right. Then she sought a small lakeside town in Vermont.com, private, far from noise. An old inn with wooden floors, fireplaces, and views that made you breathe slower just by looking at them. Her heart raced. Before doubt could stop her, she booked it. 2 nights, 1 room, no refunds. She locked her phone and stared at the ceiling, fear and hope twisting together. It felt risky, but love always was. The weeks moved fast. Emily went through the days like normal work, groceries, dinner, quiet evenings, but inside, she carried the secret. She watched Mark closely. He left early. He came home late. He said I'm fine, like it was part of his routine. Sometimes she caught him staring into space, lost in thoughts he never shared. One evening, as they ate takeout at the kitchen counter, Emily reached across and touched his hand. "You okay?" She asked. Mark smiled, the same careful smile. "Yeah, just tired." She nodded, even though her chest ached. She wanted to tell him everything. She wanted to say she saw him slipping, that she missed him, that she was scared too. But the surprise needed silence. So she held it in. The morning of his birthday arrived clear and cold. Sunlight spilled into the kitchen as Emily placed a cup of coffee in front of Mark. Her hands shook slightly. She slid a small envelope across the table. "What's this?" he asked, eyebrows raised. "Open it," she said. Inside were printed directions and a short note written in her neat handwriting. "Pack a bag for 2 days. We leave in 1 hour." Mark laughed, confused. "Is this a joke?" Emily shook her head. "No." His smile faded into something unreadable. "Surprise, yes, but also uncertainty. You didn't have to do this," he said. "I wanted to," she replied. They packed quickly. Mark moved like someone following instructions without knowing the destination. When they got in the car, silence filled the space between them. The highway stretched long and gray, trees bare on both sides. Emily focused on the road, her heart beating fast. After a while, Mark spoke. "Where are we going?" "Vermont," she said. "Just trust me." He nodded, but his jaw tightened. Emily felt at the distance the things unsaid. She wondered if she had made a mistake, if surprises were only good when people were already happy. The town appeared quietly, like it didn't want to interrupt anyone's thoughts. The inn sat near the lake, warm lights glowing in the afternoon cold. Emily parked and turned to him. "Happy birthday," she said softly. Mark stared at the building for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was gentle, real but also careful, like he was afraid to lean too far into it. Inside, the air smelled of wood and coffee. The room was simple but warm. A fireplace waited in the corner. Emily unpacked slowly, watching Mark take it all in. He seemed calmer, but quiet. That evening, they sat by the fire. Flames flickered, filling the room with soft light. Emily waited for laughter, for thanks, for something light. Instead, Mark leaned forward, hands clasped. "There's something I need to tell you," he said. Her heart dropped. She nodded, afraid but ready. He stared into the fire. "I've been feeling lost. For a while now." Emily didn't speak. She didn't move. "I don't know when it started," he continued. "I just wake up tired. Not just from work, from everything." Tears burned in Emily's eyes. but she held them back. This was not about her pain. It was about his truth. "I didn't want to ruin today," he said. "But I can't keep pretending." Emily reached out and took his hand. "You're not ruining anything," she said. "I brought you here because I felt it too." The distance. The silence. Mark looked at her, surprised. "You noticed?" She nodded. "Of course I did." The fire cracked loudly, filling the pause between them. For the first time in months, they weren't hiding. They weren't pretending everything was fine. Outside, the lake rested still under the darkening sky. Inside, two people sat close, unsure of what came next, but finally facing the same direction. And that was only the beginning. The moment Mark said he felt lost, Emily's heart dropped like a stone. She had expected a small confession, maybe a bad day, maybe a tired week. But hearing him say it out loud right there in the quiet of the inn made everything feel real. The fire crackled, and the room felt too small for all the emotions in it. Emily didn't interrupt. She didn't rush him. She just sat there, holding his hand, letting the truth settle between them. Mark stared into the flames like they might answer his questions. "I've been trying to be the man I used to be," he said. "But I don't even know who that is anymore." His voice was low, like he was afraid of being heard. Emily's throat tightened. She had missed this real Mark, not the one who smiled and walked away. He continued, "I feel like I'm living someone else's life. Like I'm just going through the motions. I don't want to be this man." He paused, and Emily saw his eyes glisten. "I don't want to be the man who doesn't know how to be happy." Emily squeezed his hand. "You don't have to be happy all the time," she said. "You just have to be here." "With me?" Mark turned toward her, and for the first time that night, he looked like he might break. "I'm scared," he admitted. "I'm scared I'm letting you down. I'm scared I'm not enough." Emily's heart ached. She had always known Mark was strong, but she'd forgotten he was human. She leaned closer and rested her forehead against his. "You're not letting me down," she whispered. "We're in this together. I'm not going anywhere." Mark swallowed hard. "I don't want to lose you," he said. "You won't," Emily promised. She wanted to believe it so badly she could feel it like a pulse in her chest. They sat in silence for a few minutes, the fire's warmth wrapping around them. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. Inside, something had shifted. The silence no longer felt like a wall. It felt like a bridge. The next morning, Emily woke early and watched the sunrise through the window. The sky was pale, soft colors spreading like a promise. Mark was still asleep, his face relaxed for once. Emily felt a strange mix of relief and worry. Relief that he was finally opening up, and worry because she knew this wasn't a one-night fix. The road ahead would be long. When Mark woke, he looked at her and smiled, a small, real smile. "You look like you slept well," he said. "I did," Emily replied. "You?" Mark rubbed his eyes. "Better than I have in a while." He dressed and walked outside. The air was cold but clean, and the lake looked like a sheet of glass. The world felt quiet in a way that made Emily's thoughts louder. She wanted to make this moment last, to keep the peace between them. But she knew they needed more than a calm morning. They needed truth. As they walked, Mark spoke first. "I didn't tell you everything," he said. Emily stopped and turned to him. "What do you mean?" Mark took a deep breath. "I'd been thinking about leaving my job." Emily blinked. "What?" He nodded slowly. "I've been feeling trapped. I don't hate it, but it doesn't feel like mine anymore. I don't know if I can keep doing it." Emily's mind raced. Mark had worked hard for years, and they had built a life around stability. Leaving a job meant risking everything. But she saw the relief in his eyes. She saw the hope. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. Mark's face tightened. "Because I didn't want you to worry. Because I didn't want you to think I was failing." Emily reached for him. "You're not failing. You're trying to be honest." Mark looked away, ashamed. "I don't know how to be honest without making things worse." Emily's voice softened. "You don't have to be perfect. Just be you." They walked in silence again, but this time it felt different. It felt like a new path. like a decision being made, not forced. Later that day, they sat in the inn's small dining room. The room smelled like fresh bread and coffee. Emily watched Mark as he ate. He looked calmer, but she could still see the weight in his eyes. She wondered if this trip was enough to bring him back. Mark set his fork down and looked at her. "Thank you," he said, "for bringing me here." Emily smiled. "You don't have to thank me. I just wanted us to remember each other." Mark nodded. "I remember," he said, and his voice was steady. "I remember why I fell in love with you." Emily's eyes warmed. "And why did you?" Mark's smile was soft. "Because you see me," he said, "even when I don't see myself." Emily's heart lifted. It was the first time she felt like they were truly connecting again. That night, they returned to the balcony, wrapped in blankets. The sky was dark and clear, filled with stars. Emily leaned into Mark's shoulder, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breathing. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew this moment mattered. Mark spoke quietly. "I think I've been pushing you away without meaning to." Emily lifted her head. "Why?" "Because I thought if I didn't show you my pain, you wouldn't have to carry it," he said. "But I realize now, you don't want to carry it alone. You want to be with me." Emily swallowed. "Yes," she said simply, "I want to be with you." Mark turned and kissed her forehead. It was gentle, like an apology and a promise. "I'm sorry," he said, "for everything." Emily shook her head. "Don't apologize. Just stay." Mark nodded. "I will." The next day, they packed their bags and headed home. The drive was quiet but not heavy. There was a softness in the air, like they had both been given a chance to start again. Emily watched Mark's profile as he drove, and she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. When they arrived home, Mark turned to her and said, "I don't want to go back to the way things were." Emily's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were not sad. "Neither do I," she said. Mark took her hand. "Let's make a change." Emily nodded. "Together." They walked inside, and for the first time in months, the house felt like home again. Not because it was perfect, but because they were together, real, honest, and willing to fight for what they had. The surprise wasn't just a trip. It was a reminder, a wake-up call, a chance to choose each other again. And as Emily looked at Mark, she realized that sometimes the best gift isn't a present, it's the courage to face the truth and keep loving anyway.